Hello, and thank you for tuning into another JD channel video, in which today we're lacing up the Nike Joyride dual runs, and we're also going to hop into the 2018 Subaru Forester, which I guess I never did a video on, and so we're going to try a video with this Samsung S20 FE and see how the video quality is. Yeah, these things are tight when you're trying to break them in. Pull them up. See? And they look pretty good. Let's take a look. Try to lace these up with one hand, even though I don't think I can. Well, I guess I gotta put it down, or see if I can put it on the stool. Hopefully it doesn't fall. Lace them up, and let's head to the Subaru. Alright, let's walk. These are pretty comfy already, I can already tell. I mean, trying them on already told you one thing, but walking in them feel great. Let's go head out. Set the alarm. Alright, let's go walk over the Subaru, and there it is. 2018 Subaru Forester Touring Edition. Nicely appointed brown leather seats. Don't mind the dirt there. But we're gonna go get this cleaned anyway. So push button start. Step on the brake, I forgot. You hit it. Starter turns on. And I don't know why the camera always does that. I'll turn that off just so no copyrights. So first thing you'll notice in here, which this is a 2.5, so it doesn't have the turbocharged 2-liter. This has a 2.5 engine, their NA version. It has the navigation standard on the Touring. There are options you can toggle here, which I'm sorry if it's kind of fluctuating. It's only doing it in the camera, but so you can change functions. And with the Touring, of course, you get the adaptive cruise control as part of the eyesight. It has 2 cameras that guide the car so it doesn't hit any other cars in front, and it can just stay and keep the speed as needed. As well as this is paired with a CVT transmission. We have the brown leather, and like I said, this is going to be cleaned, so don't mind that. And let's see, let's give it a go. Okay, put it in reverse, and it shows you the backup camera, which it has sensor standard. It doesn't have sensors for the front, but it, as far as parking, but if somebody cuts you off, it does have the automatic braking, which is nice. All right, let's give it a go. All right, put on the seatbelt. Let's go. All right, go get some gas because it only has 50 miles. Oh, there's something you don't see every day. The neighbor has a Supra. It's kind of nice. It's just outside. So for those wondering how adaptive cruise control works, let me give you a little demonstration right here. Let me turn the other way. So adaptive cruise control keeps the distance between your vehicle and the car in front of you based on the settings you have. So you press this and it'll say ready over there. I'm sorry, it's blinking. And then you tap it. And of course it's telling you lane watch. It's kind of moving because we came through a curve. The adaptive cruise control will keep the distance between the vehicle in front of you, and it'll speed up and slow down based on the preference you have. So you press this button right here, it'll change the distance. So say you want to be closer, you put these to show you how close you want to be to the car in front of you. Right now it's saying 3. I want to be a little further, so I'm going to set it to 2, and then set it so at, oh, hold on, I guess I pressed down to set it. See, now it's set, and now it'll keep its pace to not collide with the vehicle in front of it, and it'll brake accordingly as needed. It's kind of like self-driving, but not really, because obviously you have to keep your hand on the wheel. So let's see how this works. because as they slow down, you're gonna hear it beep and start to slow down itself. See, right now it's keeping it at 64. It also kind of turns itself with the eyesight. I don't know why it does that. Sometimes you find yourself trying to pull the car back, but it actually tries to correct itself with the eyesight because it follows the lines on the road. It's kind of an interesting feature. So I mean, it keeps you in your lane if you're asleep, but I wouldn't rely on it. So I mean, try not to. And as you can see, the vehicle is slowing down based on the fact that the RV in front of me is slowing down. But say I were to change lanes, which I'll do in a second, it'll speed back up to 67 any time now, based on the fact that nobody's letting me through. See, that yellow light, obviously, like in newer vehicles, tells you that there's something in your blind spot. This thing's actually been pretty handy, because say I was backing up and there was a blind corner behind me on the side, it was able to detect a car that was about to fly through the corner and stop me from backing up, and it's done wonders and been very reliable. There's an Outback. Let's see. So now I'm going to go to the lane on the left. You can hear it kind of adjusted, and now it's going to go based on those vehicles. See, and now it's speeding up on its own without me hitting my foot. It'll always keep the distance you want, so if somebody cuts you off, it'll slow down accordingly, or it'll brake. Which does surprise some people who are not used to this technology, or people who've never encountered eyesight, which is the cameras and then the blind spot warning. So if, say, somebody cuts you off, it's going to slow down accordingly and adjust. Which I bet this Prius is going to cut me off, so let's see. See, and then the car is slowing down. You hear it beep. And then when the Prius goes, see, it beeps again. It's handy and very interesting feature. It has the heated steering wheel, being the Touring, as well as the pointed heated seats and perforated leather. Because I believe that there's another version of the Forester that comes with leather, but the leather in this is a lot nicer, obviously. Another nice feature of this vehicle, which it's not really new to modern cars, but with the Subaru, if you get the Touring, you have the optional dual zone climate control, which your passenger can set their temperature as well as yourself. Turn that audio off. And you can even make them both the same by hitting the dual button. Otherwise, once they turn it, the dual button turns back on, and it has independent temperature on both sides. It's kind of nice. So at least if you tend to run hot and the other person tends to run cool, they can heat up their side while not disturbing your own. I get people like saving gas, but I don't get why they go all the way to the other side. And this guy didn't even really put any gas. Put a little bit and then left. He was only there like 3 minutes. And I get that you want to save, but why would you? The lines were the same length, and he went into the ones that... See, there's 2 guys even doing it. Or even 3. Jeez. I don't understand this. I mean, you're saving a little bit of time, but most of the times I have to maneuver around them, and it's kind of redundant. Well, even though it has a big tank, I mean, 40 bucks on regular gas isn't too bad. Because, miles do I get? I get 360, and you get a full tank. I mean, cost, what, 41.60, so a little bit over 40 bucks. That's not too bad. What else do we have in the car? I mean, you have the self-dimming mirror, and of course the home link, like other cars that have the garage door opener on it. Self-dimming mirror is nice, and I'm glad that the Japanese cars adapted to it, because my BMW has it, but I haven't really seen that many with the compass or the self-dimming until, I want to say, the late 2000s. Okay, now back in the car. Let's go over again the newly cleaned interior, since I just took this to the wash. Guess I didn't do that great because there's still a mark. Yeah, it's... But anyway, this perforated leather is exclusive to the Touring, which it has the heated seats, just like many cars. This has the heated steering wheel, leather covered, and then an array of options. Let's actually push this on, which if you have the, I believe they call it what, the premium, or I forget, basically the non-base version, there's 4 tiers including 2 engine types. This would have keyless go, so press the button and it goes to accessories. The Starlink turns on. Just turn off the audio. For miles as far as gas, your average, as well as the amount you have left. It goes down in tens, which is weird to me. I don't know why it does that, because it's not accurate. So in theory, you're like, okay, how much gas do I have left? It doesn't go by 1 mile, it drops in tens, and then after 20 it just disappears completely, which you shouldn't run it down that low anyway. So the nice part about the navigation is once you have the SD card that activates it, it's on air updates, so you don't have to worry about having to buy different discs. Just like other premium models, it has XM as an option. You do have to register it, and that's why it's on the preview channel. Actually, let's see if it'll... Oh, I guess it... Oh no, it'll only go in certain options. Let's go back, turn that off. Then of course you have... This'll, because it has the navigation on, and navigation's on air updates, so you don't have to worry about buying new discs. This shows you where all the nearest gas stations are without having to pay a premium on that. Then of course sports, you got scores. Right now it's trying to find a sports game in baseball. It's the playoffs, but it's not showing it. Oh well. And weather. Let's see if it gets it actually. Well, I guess it does. I guess it's getting it off of the navigation. I thought it needed the data, but right now my Bluetooth's not connected to the phone. It's still giving an update. That's kind of nice. Then stocks. Stocks, I kind of wonder how it's going to get it. Let's try something like a stock I used to look at in high school. Let's see if it'll actually search it without data. Let's see. And no. So that one does need internet. Then of course you have your other Starlink options like information and SOS if you have an emergency. You kind of see those in premium cars like Mercedes. Subaru has it. It's kind of nice. Then of course the gigantic sunroof. Other options this vehicle has is the roof rails, which is standard on the Touring. I'm not too sure if it comes on other models. I know it definitely doesn't come on the base. The pointed leather, obviously, the keyless go, adaptive cruise control, which this is at your distance. This puts it so the lines on the side work, so at least if you're veering, it'll alert you. And then this is what turns it on, and then just like standard cruise control, you hit on and up, and that'll go through the functions. This model, like I said earlier, does have the 2.5 naturally aspirated flat 4 or boxer 4. And there's an option for a 2-liter turbo for this year, but we didn't go for that because, I mean, you get more horsepower, but we're thinking if we decide to keep this in the long run, it doesn't make sense. Now let's go back into the functions. So scroll through, you hit this button, and it'll scroll through the different options, like how long you've been driving and miles per hour. There are other options, as well as there's a menu here. You toggle through like this, so miles per gallon, then the average MPG, and then that one I'm not too sure. I think that's distance. And then of course the combined average, and then what you're averaging at that moment, and then of course average MPH. And then you can go through settings. If you hit enter, you hold it, and then you see you have an array of settings to set this function. We're not going to mess with that. We're going to go back, and that's one of the few functions that this has, which it's kind of nice to have all this technology in a car that people used to think would be basic, but no, it's not. prefer the body lines of this than the newer generation, but I know they've already changed it, so I guess there's no choice really. So now let's look under the hood. So under the hood, just like Subaru's known for, is the 2.5 liter boxer engine. This, like I discussed earlier, unlike the previous ones, has a timing chain. Yeah, actually nice, the oil filter's right there. So 2.5 liter. This is the Touring, so of course it has the eyesight option added. I guess that's not standard on the Touring. Then of course you just close the hood here, because so flat 4 boxer 2.5 liter has the Touring only wheels, and then the icon here is for your blind spot warning. So say if you decide to kind of cut through the lanes, it'll stop you from going into the other lane when you shouldn't, or if you're veering, it'll kind of beep and warn you. I think you saw that earlier in the video. Also with the Touring, you have the LED headlights, which these actually move with the car. So if you turn the steering wheel, which I'll show on a wall, it'll pretty much flex the way that the direction of the car is. Let me see here. Try to see if even if I turn, if it'll change, but looks like it wasn't that much of a turn that it doesn't really affect it. And now let's turn it on just to see the lights in action. Well, the gauges. Well, let's see, when you start it, you'll see the lights go sideways, see? It's kind of cool, because they're independent, and that guy's driving with no lights on. And there's a cop. It's interesting. Wonder what's going to happen there. Turn this back off. What I was glad about in 2018 is, with most Subarus, they have the electric hatch, with the exception of the base. But I mean, you could close it manually, but as you can tell, you press a button, and down it goes. And there we are. Well, I thank you for coming along on this kind of brief overview of this car that I never reviewed, but I'm hoping that this first video I'm going to try to do on my S20 FE turns out well, and maybe we'll use this in the future. I'm recording at 16:9, and I'm hoping that the quality is great, and I'm going to even edit on my phone just to kind of give myself a challenge. Thank you for tuning in to another JD Channel video, and hope to see you again. Take care.